Hi guys, William Morris here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a new piano percussion library from Heavyocity called Uncharted 88. So the library is made for both the full and player versions of Kontakt 6.7.1 or above, and it will take up just under 11 gigabytes of your hard drive space. At the time of this review, it is on intro pricing at $119, and that will move to a full price of $149. So this library is an expansion to the Damage series, and so it uses the same UI and engine, which I've actually covered in some of my previous reviews for Damage 2 and Damage Drum Kit. But you don't need to own any of these previous libraries for Uncharted 88 to work, so it's completely standalone if you want it to be. So we have a patch list here on the left, very similar to other Damage libraries, which are separated out into the Ensemble Designer, a Kit Designer, and a Loop Designer. So let's start with the Ensemble patch, and this is going to be all of your individual playable drums. And the same as other Damage libraries, you can use the Snapshots menu to kind of cycle through a bunch of the presets that they have, or you can also go into the source menus and you can literally drag and drop sounds onto the Ensemble Designer so you can kind of create your own patches. Let's go back to the main stage control and I'll just give you another look at the snapshots that we have. So the all-star presets are kind of like a curated list of some of the cooler stuff in the library, and then you have everything else included as well. So we've got wooden strikes on the piano, iron, string strikes, and then rips, glisses, and transitions. So let's start off and just have a listen to some of the all-star presets. So yeah, the first thing you might notice is that although Damage tends to be sort of really big, hybrid, epic percussion stuff, this library is definitely sort of tailored more towards what I would call detailed percussion. So there are some big sounds in here as well, but we're sort of focusing on things that you might use for faster accented patterns or just quicker percussion bits. But it's also nicely laid out. So on this left-hand side, we've got our kind of almost kick drum type lower sounds, and then as we go into the middle you can hear these kind of brush and wood hits, and then in the top we have these really aggressive kind of string hits. Some of these are being programmed to use the performance scripting, so essentially what that does, if I go into settings, you'll see when the performance button is enabled here, it's basically going to be doing one of these 5 different performance articulations. So at the minute you can see it's on repeat, so it's just going to repeat a 16th note pattern. But also, this is only if you hold down the key, so you can actually play it just normally. But it's really nice to have those performance options there. It just saves you, you know, some extra programming, especially if you're doing crescendos and swells. All right, so that was Pounding String Trains. Let's have a listen to another one. Maybe let's try Psychotic Visions. Yeah, I love these. It's got a real kind of horror vibe to it, this library. As you can hear, the release for that one's very long. All right, let's move on, try something else. There's so much in this library, so I'm just trying to give you a bit of an overview as opposed to going through every single patch. I think I'm going to have to try one that's called The Last of Us, pretty topical at the minute. Yeah, really cool. So much space in these, lots of Atmos. Although I think almost everything appears to have some sort of round robin to it. There's obviously some where you wouldn't really want to play these as repeated notes. That one actually feels like it might be a one shot instead. But yeah, really great vibe to these. They've also got really long release tails, and it does actually have something kind of progressing in the sound as well, which is really cool. Let's try another one. Let's maybe go with, okay, guessing this one might be sort of Jordan Peele inspired. So yeah, real mix of stuff in there. That one's super cool though. It's just, it's sometimes hard to know what you're going to be hearing and playing before you kind of give everything a go. They have obviously tried to separate some of the sounds out with the color coding for the keyboard. But obviously with a mix of sort of performance stuff and one-shot stuff and proper round robin stuff, you do have to kind of dig into the patch a fair bit before you sort of know what you're going to come out with. Let's do one more of the all-star ones and then we'll move on. Let's just try this first one, an aggressive knocking. I love that because you get that kind of percussive snap, but you can hear all that sort of string resonance from the rest of the piano in the background. Yeah, I love that. See, the kind of ones like these that are less sort of sound designy and more sort of instantly playable in terms of actual rhythms and stuff. There's a few others that feel a bit more, yeah, sort of one-shotty, but very cool nonetheless. So that's some of the all-star stuff. First category now is going to be wood strikes, and that's obviously wood, iron, and strings. So you kind of got the makeup of a piano there. So let's try the first one of the woods. Yeah, love these. Really cool. Again, kind of organized in a nice way. You've got the sort of lower stuff on the left hand, and then as you get up into this higher register, you've got the kind of higher stuff. Let's just go back to the stage control here so you can see some of the names coming up. Yeah, so we've got lots of different hammers. And brushes, all on the kind of wooden part of the piano, so I'm guessing like the lid and the back and that kind of thing. Yeah, really cool. Let's try a couple more. So this is brushes, and this one has some performance sort of stuff in as well. Yeah, so that'll be a performance one. So you'll see if we go into settings, it's set on performance, and that's got a little swell, and it's a 1-bar one. And you can obviously change all of these things as well. You can obviously change all the parameters as well, so it doesn't have to be a 1-bar length, etc. Yeah, really nice. I like the implementation of the performance stuff. It's really nice to kind of just be able to play it normally if you want to, and then if you want to hold down a key, that's when you get the performance coming in. And it's so easy to kind of turn that off per key as well. All right, so that was some of the wood brushes. Let's do one more and try some of the felt mallets. Lovely stuff. Alrighty, so that's some of the wooden strikes. Let's try some of the iron. So this menu one at the top is usually a pretty good place to start. It gives you a bit more of a sample of everything. I'm trying to kind of give you an idea of the sort of round robin and velocity layer stuff in it. I would say it's good. It's not as deep as maybe if they were kind of just doing a taiko library or something like that, but still very playable, and it's really at a level above which a lot of non-traditional percussion stuff is found. Because I do find that sometimes in libraries, it'll be a drum library and they'll have some sort of non-traditional percussion stuff in there, and you think, oh, this sounds amazing, it's really cool, but they're all sort of just a one-shot or really limited in their sort of playing scope. But here we've got some really cool, unusual sounds, but they're still very playable due to the depth of the sampling. So that's a performance one there. But yeah, really cool sounding. You kind of get a different, these are sort of similar strikes, obviously, but they're on different materials of the piano, so you get a different flavor for each one. So obviously wood sounds different to the iron, and I'm guessing that the string one's probably going to be even more sort of different to those two. But let's try one more in the iron, and then we can move on. So I've listened to these ambient hammers. So yeah, there's a lot of performance ones in here. All right, let's have a listen to some of the string strikes. I love those. think this is my favorite category. Yeah, really cool. That's going to be amazing for horror and kind of tension stuff. That sort of discordant kind of sound of the strings and all the other ones sort of you get in resonance on the sides. It's going to be really cool for sort of dissonant stuff. Okay, let's see what else we've got for the string strikes then. Let's maybe try some of the scrapes, and we'll go ambient for those. Yeah, really cool. I think that's my definitely favorite category, the strings one. All right, so let's try final category, number 5. This is rips, glisses, and transitions. Give the reverses a go first. So as you can hear, these are all sort of set to different lengths. So we've got a 4-beat, 2-beat, 1-beat kind of division. So you've got your slower transitions down here on the left. And then your fast stuff up in the right hand. So yeah, very cool. Let's see some of the rips and glissandos. Yeah, nice. It's really cool to have a mix of some of the softer ones and then some of the harder hitting ones. Because, you know, sometimes there's that moment where you want to add that sort of jump scare moment, but sometimes that needs to be sort of really scaled down and soft. So it is nice to have a mixture on here, and these all sound really great. All right, so this will be the final category of the Ensemble Designer. So this is swells. Lovely stuff. You know, simple swell stuff can be pretty boring sometimes, but I think it sounds like they've really sort of added a lot to these, which is great. Okay, so that would be the Ensemble Designer. Let's take a listen to the Kit Designer now. So all these patches are mapped out sort of much more like a drum pad. So you can see you've got kick is always on C1, and you've got the equivalent of like a snare or hi-hat hits on the corresponding keys. Again, the snapshot menu at the top is where we're going to find different kits, and exactly the same as the designer one, we can also go into all the different sources and we can remap anything we want and create our own kits. So this first one is the Uncharted piano set. I think this layout has definitely worked really well on previous libraries, like obviously the Damage drum kit and even the Damage 2 sort of library, because you have these hybrid kits and the elements of like kick and snare and stuff are very sort of recognizable, and you could use them in those patterns. But I think possibly for this one, it's a little bit unusual trying to play anything resembling a standard drum pattern for it to work with this. I mean, it kind of works, but it's also a bit weird. But yeah, let's have a listen to some more in this category. So this is the wooden piano. cool stuff. Let's try urban brushes. Yeah, I'm probably not as convinced as these as patches. Sort of feels like some of this might just be better to do in the Ensemble Designer. Let's try a string groove generator. See, that one actually feels like it could, work as a sort of a drum kit layout. Yeah, it does feel like this sort of kit designer category it's nice to have, it's nice as an add-on, and it's a different way of sort of arranging the samples in this kind of standard drum kit format. I'm just not sure I'd play a lot of these sounds as a drum kit. Okay, so let's jump into our final category, and this is going to be the loop designer. So although these are loops, I think the way Heavyocity does loops has always been really good. There's a lot of flexibility in them because you basically have a kind of master loop, and then it's broken down into the sort of individual stems of the loop, basically. So generally you have a low sort of kick part and then a sort of mid part and higher parts and stuff like that on top. So you can kind of pick and choose which part of the loop you actually want, which is really nice because sometimes you might hear a loop and say, actually, I don't want the full thing. There's just a really cool kind of like 16th pattern happening on top, and I just want that sort of little bit. And obviously the engine's all sort of tempo synced as well, which is really handy. So from the snapshots menu at the top, you can see the big division is between straight and triplet measure. And then for the top category, we have menus and breakouts. So the breakouts are what you see here, so where it's all kind of divided into section. And of that, we've got some in organic style, some hybrid, and then some experimental ones. And then what's really nice is they've included these utility versions. So you can kind of just go in and say, oh, actually, I just wanted to listen to all the different high loops. And there you'll find them all in one place, which is really nice. But yeah, we're starting off in organic loops. And so all these blue keys down in the left-hand side are going to play the full loop, and you'll see them activate all the individual stems in one go. So yeah, really cool stuff. So yeah, they're always going to be great loops from Heavyocity, and you've probably heard a lot of them on TV shows as well. So yeah, the blue keys will control the full loop, and then if you move up, you can kind of get the broken down parts. So this will be like the bass parts. Then you get a mid part, then a high part. So yeah, really handy because it just allows you to take what you need and not a full loop every time. That's some of the organic ones. Let's have a listen to some of the hybrid ones. So for these, we're just moving from a, sort of purely organic sound into some more processed kind of stuff. So that was hybrid. Let's try experimental. So yep, that's a few of the experimental ones. Now let's try some of this from the Uncharted menu. Yeah, there really are a lot of these, and obviously because you can kind of choose individual bits, that sort of increases the overall amount of difference you can get. So yeah, there's a huge amount of loop content, and everything is really easy to mangle. So essentially, that's kind of it for the categories in terms of the loops. And then obviously everything from the straight category is also available as triplet. So hopefully that gives you a decent overview of what's kind of available in the library. I think everything I would probably use is mostly in the Ensemble Designer, and I'm really impressed with that. I mean, it's really nice to have access to this kind of non-traditional percussion stuff, but with the round robins and the velocity layers. And I think they strike a really nice balance of being interesting enough to use, but also very musical. Because I think if you get to the point where a sound is almost a sound effect, it's cool as a one shot, but it's very hard to then sort of play a rhythm with it. So I think this could be an amazing sort of detail percussion library where you can use it to sort of add those interesting elements to bigger parts. But also just on for film scoring stuff or TV scoring stuff where you kind of map more of an underscore type section. These kind of give you an option to add percussive parts, but that aren't sort of too big and too overwhelming for a lot of stuff. So I think that's going to be another really nice kind of use case for this. I'm not 100% convinced on the kit designer. It feels maybe like it's sort of been included just to sort of match the layout that's similar with the other damage libraries. But it is nice to include as well, because I know some people are going to be using more of a drum pad type layout, and that's going to be cool for those people. The loops are great as well. It's just not something that personally I tend to use. So yeah, overall, amazing library. I would say it's worth it for the Ensemble Designer stuff alone in terms of the price point. I think this is going to turn out to be a really useful library for me, and it's great to have something part of the Damage series that isn't sort of a bigger epic drum library. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, just let me know in the comments. If not, I'll see you again on the next one.